This story is about Athanasia, a name that ironically means eternity. She entered the world as a princess, costing her mother, Empress Diana, her life during childbirth. Before passing, Diana left a magical kiss on the infant, a mysterious gift with absolutely zero instructions attached. Grief drove the emperor completely insane, so he ordered everything his wife ever touched to be incinerated. He spared the baby Athanasia, but swapped fatherly love for icy, neglectful silence. Since Dad ignored her, the staff followed suit, figuring if the emperor didn't care, neither should they. Even as an infant, Athanasia experienced weird things. She wandered into a magical realm where a voice called. There she found a book detailing her entire tragic life story. It spoiled the ending. She'd be accused of dark magic and her own dad would lock her away forever. Her father's cold, dead eyes haunted her nightmares nightly. The only warmth came from Lillian, a kind servant who was actually friends with her mom. Lillian ditched the noble life just to babysit the lonely, neglected princess. Even as a toddler, Athanasia knew she was doomed. She couldn't fight yet, but knew she had to rewrite this script. Her biggest problem: Emperor Claude, a guy powerful enough to flatten kingdoms when he's bored. And that terrifying monster is Dad. 3 years dragged by, and things got marginally better. More maids joined, charmed by Athanasia's undeniable cuteness and sweet act. But one greedy maid didn't care, only wanting to steal the dead empress's treasures. When Athanasia caught her snooping, the maid dismissed her as a gardener's kid and demanded to know where the gold was hidden. Realizing the woman was trash, Athanasia smiled and led her to a field of plants instead. Then, playing the helpful, innocent child, she mentioned there were gem-encrusted utensils still lying around the palace. The maid took the bait, thinking she found an accomplice. She started bagging loot, and that is when Athanasia struck. She grabbed the jewelry, and when the woman lunged, the princess threw everything at her. The noise attracted other maids, catching the thief in the act. But Athanasia knew this wasn't random luck. In the prophecy book, this same maid tries stabbing Lillian later. By acting now, she saved her caretaker and kept the jewels, knowing she would need cash later. Meanwhile, Emperor Claude remained as warm as an iceberg. His assistant, Felix, reported the incident, mentioning his daughter bravely stopped a thief. The emperor didn't care. Far away, a mage sensed the empire's destiny shifting, pinpointing the source right inside the royal palace. Athanasia realized she isn't the main character here, just a disposable side piece. At 12, it gets worse. She meets Jeanette, a sister blessed with magic and likely their father's love. Athanasia didn't want the rejection, the exile, or the suffering, so before turning 8, she started hoarding cash, planning to flee the country with Lillian. She hid gems in kitchenware, though snacking on sweets often left her face covered in chocolate. One day, washing up at a fountain, she saw her mother's face but her father's eyes. She wondered if he hated her for inheriting his looks, not magic. She went to the forest to bury loot, scaring a squirrel. Returning later, she found that same rodent digging up her retirement fund. She bribed it with a peanut and went deeper, finding a strange vault covered in golden statues. She bit one, yep, solid gold. Then she ran smack into her dad, Emperor Claude. Their first actual meeting. The emperor froze, stunned. She looked exactly like the empress. Athanasia was terrified. This encounter wasn't supposed to happen for years. Claude showed no emotion, while even his aide Felix looked sweaty. Breaking the silence, the emperor called her chubby and started pulling at her cheeks. He ordered Felix to bring tea, deciding the mighty emperor suddenly had time for a toddler. Sweets were served. Athanasia barely ate, too shocked by the scary man facing her. Here sat the guy who, according to destiny, would eventually accuse her of witchcraft and lock her up forever. Yet he was just drinking tea. Claude watched her silently until she quietly confirmed she actually knew words. Felix tried to joke that kids are shy, but got kicked out so they could talk alone. Claude analyzed her name, Athanasia, meaning immortality, fitting for a royal heir. He admitted he was jealous. He killed his brother for the throne but had a lesser name. Remembering Diana chose, the name actually softened his mood. He asked who taught her manners. She said Lillian. Claude remembered the maid begging to raise the kid and had shrugged. Then the scary question, "Do you know me?" Athanasia froze. Felix said use titles, but she blurted, "You're my dad." "Your dad?" She expected death, but Claude's eyes actually lit up. Felix returned her to the frantic servants, announcing the emperor wanted to see her again, shocking everyone. When Claude summoned them, he thanked the maid for raising her. He claimed work kept him away, but Athanasia would now live nearby. Everyone cheered except Athanasia, who still suspected her dad was a demon in disguise. Her life flipped, daily tea with dad, luxury treatment, and actual nice clothes. She still kept her escape plan, hoarding coins just in case things went south. Claude, meanwhile, seemed genuinely intrigued by her. He noticed she liked shiny objects and actually enjoyed their awkward hangouts. She dared to hope he might actually care. Then the lake trip. Dressed up, she smiled when Claude called her plump, taking it as a compliment, calling him handsome back. He remained stony. They boarded a boat, ignoring that Athanasia couldn't swim. As Claude steered with magic, she admired his golden hair, wondering if her eyes matched his. She grabbed at a glowing lotus and fell overboard immediately. Weeds dragged her down, but Claude dove in, saving her and drying her instantly with magic. Calm but firm, he spoke. "I'll teach her to swim tomorrow. I won't let her remain defenseless." Lillian explained the lotuses were magic traps for non-magic users, making Athanasia the most vulnerable person in the palace. That night, Claude saw the lotuses create an illusion of his dead wife, Diana. He finally admitted he didn't hate his daughter anymore. The next morning, Athanasia woke to chaos, servants kneeling, newly assigned to serve her. Even Felix knelt, pledging himself as her temporary bodyguard. Little Athanasia dreamed of a familiar face she couldn't quite place. Waking up, Felix carried her, cheerfully announcing His Majesty demanded her presence for breakfast right now. Athanasia blinked, confused why the Emperor would want to eat with her. And why no guards? Felix laughed, saying Claude's magic was protection enough. He added that the Emperor would love a wake-up call from her. Athanasia nearly fainted. Waking the Emperor sounded suicidal. Still, she entered his fancy room filled with treasure and gold maps. She found Claude sleeping and saw a portrait of the man from her banishment nightmare. She pinched his cheeks, but when he stirred, she panicked and hummed a lullaby. He went back to sleep. Claude woke with red cheeks, and Athanasia awkwardly tried making small talk about the palace. He smiled and let her explore. Felix announced a visitor, and Claude casually told her to have breakfast with him daily, which totally freaked her out. Exploring, Athanasia searched for a picture of her mom, Diana, but she only found strangers. Finally, she found a burned painting with her mother's name. Nearby, nobles gossiped about her lack of magic and her mom's background. Before they could continue, Claude appeared, his glare silencing them. He ordered Diana's name never be spoken. Hiding, Athanasia sees just how much her mom's memory tortures. That night, she stares at the ruined painting, hums a lullaby and passes out. The next morning, she joins Claude for breakfast, faking confidence the whole time. He just sits in silence. She sips the tea and says it tastes like flowers blooming inside her mouth. Claude freezes. Those were Diana's exact words. He changes the subject fast, and Athanasia knows she definitely hit a nerve. Heartbroken, she burns her drawings of her mother. Meanwhile, Athanasia overhears Felix and Lillian plotting to show her Claude's memories of Diana. Terrified, she begs them to stop, thinking Dad will hate her. Felix swears Claude never hated them, proving it by showing a magic barrier only she and Diana can pass through. That night, Claude sits alone with her restored drawings. Athanasia visits him, and he hugs her, whispering that she is becoming bold, just like her mother. He teases her to sing that lullaby again while awake. As she sings, Claude's magic floods the room, showing warm, glowing memories of Diana smiling. Father and daughter watch together, their cold hearts softening. When the song ends, they drift to sleep side by side, surrounded by light and long-forgotten peace. The Emperor decided Athanasia needed a study partner, since her magical powers were still totally absent. The Duke immediately offered his son, smart, older, and basically the kingdom's favorite annoying overachiever. But in Athanasia's dreams, that same guy used a rival girl to climb the social ladder and destroy her. Now he supposedly liked that same girl too. Athanasia was convinced he just wanted power, not friendship. Before anyone said more, she cut them off. Sure, the Duke's son was talented and well-read, probably thinking he was some sort of genius prodigy. So what? She already studied everything herself. She hates foolish friends. No one matched her. His only edge was magic, which she considered a totally unfair advantage. They dropped the topic. In Aeolus, a magical planetarium measured exactly how much magic someone possessed. Faster spin meant stronger person, but when Athanasia tried, it didn't move. Her dad was powerful. Her mom basically breathed magic, so how could she have zero? 2 years passed. In the market, her maid heard gossip about the Duke adoring his daughter. He even built her a private library. Everyone assumed Athanasia would inherit the throne. Then a mysterious man suddenly appeared. He noticed something strange. The maid shouldn't be alive. Her fate was rewritten. Soon after, that annoying Duke returned. 2 years hadn't changed him very much. He worried the princess had no classmates and suggested the perfect girl he taught personally, making Athanasia's heart totally sink. It was the dream girl destined to replace her. The newcomer was brilliant, especially in law. The plan: get close to the princess, meet dad, and grab power. But Athanasia didn't need law lessons. She memorized the entire code. She was a scholar and wanted equally sharp classmates. To prove it, she handed the Duke a foreign book she translated herself. "No foolish friends," she whispered. Before heading out, her father gifted her a rare book of ancient spells written by some nameless magician. He warned it contained a powerful enchantment that might awaken her magic. He wasn't sure, but it was worth trying. The moment she opened it, it moved. Suddenly, she saw that mysterious man again. He had finally found the girl who could control destiny itself. But Athanasia was still a kid, so she assumed he was totally mistaken. Suddenly, Felix stepped forward, but the man effortlessly pushed him back with a swift magical blast. Before leaving, the man warned him, "Never finish that spell. It's dangerous." Afterwards, Felix remembered absolutely nothing. Still curious, he suggested the princess should really have a friend her age. She lived surrounded by adults with no one to talk to. She must be lonely. Meanwhile, Athanasia wasn't exactly impressed by the incompetent adults. To her, they were too useless to control one child. Every morning, she sat for tea with a table of cakes. And now, finally, she was allowed chocolate, except her hidden kitchen stash had mysteriously disappeared. Taking advice, her dad asked if she wanted a friend her age. He'd find one immediately. She refused. "I have friends and cakes. That's enough. I just want peace until 18. Still, Athanasia knew she needed to master magic to truly change her destiny. So, ignoring the warning, she tried the spell again. The book rattled and broke open. Suddenly, that same man appeared, staring at her. "Your eyes, the imperial family eyes?" he asked. "People with jewel eyes supposedly died out 400 years ago. Her dad was emperor, but those eyes belonged to an ancient, dead bloodline. Legends said those eyes held immense power, yet she had absolutely none. So how did she twist fate itself?" Deciding she was too dangerous, the man cast a spell to knock her out. But as consciousness faded, Athanasia refused to give up. He was about to kill her when Claude appeared and swept her away. Terrified, she tried casting a spell, and shockingly, a shimmering shield actually formed. For the first time, she smiled, thrilled by the power. But her vision blurred, and the last thing she saw was her dad's blood-soaked boots. That is it. Like and subscribe for more.